Hello, welcome back to Frogboy X-Men Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I wanted to talk about all the games I've played this year and, kind of just go over everything that like really stood out to me and give you guys kind of like the rundown. So I was just on Steam and I was counting how many games I played on Steam this year, and it was almost 50 games just on Steam alone, and then I would say another 50 to 60 on Xbox, and probably right around 10, 15 on PlayStation 5, maybe 5 or 6 on Nintendo Switch. I think I've played like 6 or so. When I say played, that doesn't mean I've completed every single one of them, but as you can tell, I've played so many games. And one has to ask himself, if I've played so many games this year, and I've bought in a lot of them. I've gotten a pretty decent amount of review code this year, for sure, for sure. I've gotten a pretty good amount of review code to go on top of all the games that I've bought for myself. Now, every single game that I have played this year are all games that I was like, okay, that looks interesting. I want to try that. I want to play that. Except for I think there was two games that were just given to me, codes that were given to me that were just in my email. That was the electrician simulator and that priest simulator. Both of them turned out to be pretty interesting games. Obviously didn't stick with them too long. That priest simulator, I still got it downloaded. I still go back and play around with that one every once in a while because it's funny. It's like South Park funny. So I like get in there and I try to play around with it a little bit, kind of progress, whatever's going on in there. I don't really completely understand the game or what the objective is really at the end game, but it's kind of fun. It serves its purpose for people that might want to try something like that. I played a lot of RTS type games this year. Uh, Definitely trying to get into those. Played some, played some, some pretty decent racing simulators slash racing games this year. There've been quite a few good ones of those. Two that stand out really, well, the few that stand out really good are, Redout 2. Bought that one on Xbox and Place or Xbox and PC. There's Gran Turismo 7 that stands out. There's Dakar Desert Rally that stands out. And then there's WRC Generations that stands out. Just like right off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure I've played a lot more this year. But when it comes down to it, the AAA bangers are the ones that everybody seems to be like the most like, about. And to be completely honest with you, I think most everything that I've played, including Saints Row, I think they've been all right this year. I think we've gotten some pretty decent games. Some of them dropped, been a little off it, been a little off, but they've all managed to pretty much entertain me. So I don't necessarily feel too bad with the purchases that I've made this year. I feel like there's some that I bought this year. Stuff like the Vampire Diary or Vampire that Swan Song Vampire Masquerade or whatever. That game I bought, I spent a couple hours in it, and I was like, "Ooh boy, I don't know about playing this," but it's something that eventually I might actually go back to and finish playing. So there's been some stuff like that. I mean, there's been a pretty good amount of games that I've bought and I've played for a couple hours, and I've just been like, man, I'm just not into this. But you know what? I could sit here and try to tell you that's because of the channel, but I used to do that before I started the channel too. I would buy a game, I'd play it for a couple minutes, and I'd be like, yeah, I don't feel like doing it. Like I said, Metro Exodus took me over a year and a half to finally complete that game, and I played it for like 15 minutes when I first bought it, and then a year and a half later, I went back to it and I was like, whoa, man, this is actually really good. So I ended up playing through it, and I was like, dang, this is pretty good. I do I do generally get a lot of my gaming in during the weekends. So it if a game doesn't catch me that weekend and like, oh yeah, stand out, sometimes I'll end up putting it to the side. I will. I'll put it to the side, but There are some notable games that really grabbed me, and I completed them, got right through them, man. Gotham Knights is one of those ones that like really stands out there, that like, wow, man, playing through that game and going through the story and like getting to know those characters, and seeing how that game was put together and built. Gotham Knights really stood out to me. Callisto Protocol, man. Wow, that game, I bought it on PC and I returned it and I was like, man, I don't know about this game. And then Striking Distance provided review code for that, and I went into it. I'm not even gonna lie. I went into it with my expectations a little bit like, oh boy. And I mean, you could tell from the very first stream I started doing of that game, you could already tell that I was like, yeah. You know, I mean, I had that like attitude or whatever. But I'll tell you what, by the time the credits rolled on that game, I was like, my goodness, man, this was actually a freaking pretty cool game. It didn't waste my time. I felt good playing through it. I was generally 100% addicted to it, and I didn't want to put it down. So that was a really good one for me. That one was a really good one. Another game that really stands out really good to me is Grounded. Now, I love Grounded. I really do love Grounded. Eventually, I want to be able to beat that game and play some more multiplayer and stuff. So like I said, you know, starting next year, things in the channel are definitely going to change. We're going to be reworking the format a little bit to where we can get into more of those, you know, multiplayer experiences on the channel, stream some of that stuff. Grounded is definitely one at the top of the games that I want to play when it comes to community game night. Another one is Elden Ring. Like Elden Ring, a lot of people keep asking me, like, have you even beat it, Frog? Are you going to talk about God of War if you haven't even beat freaking Elden Ring yet? I've got 4 times more time into freaking Elden Ring than I do any PlayStation. I got more combined time in Elden Ring than I do all PlayStation first party games this year. Like all of them. And I know you could say, will you play them? If I'm enjoying that game that much to where I could put that much time into it, yeah, man, that's a good game. Do I need to beat it? No, not necessarily. I don't. It's not one of those games where I feel like, it's not one of them games that I feel like, man, I need to get right through this. No, man, like that's one of those games where like when I'm in the mood to go and play Elden Ring, I get on Elden Ring and I go play it. It's not one that's just sitting there dormant. Like I've played it recently. I play it whenever I'm in a mood to play like a Souls experience. Like Elden Ring is my go-to. That's the one I go to. That's the one I explore. That's the one I play. Still working on a PC version, still playing the Xbox version. Like that is a game that will probably always be on my hard drive. Always. Like games like God of War and stuff, they'll come and go. My biggest disappointment this year is 100% God of War Ragnarok. That is my biggest disappointment this year. The fact that that game was supposed to be out last year, the fact that they pushed it all the way till the end of the year, the way it like they started giving out review codes and everybody was hyping it, being like, oh, this is a masterpiece, this is a masterpiece. The previews on the PlayStation 5 lead me to believe that this was going to be some epic adventure. Like God of War Ragnarok was and is my biggest disappointment this year. Now that might be strange or hard for some of the PlayStation fans and fanboys to hear, but I really did expect more out of God of War. I did. I expected God of War Ragnarok to, well, first of all, I expected Ragnarok to be cool. Like really cool, but sad face, it wasn't. I expected more character development for some of the people that they were going to make you play as and be around. Like that would have been cool. Like Thor's daughter, to get to know her and like get to know what's going on, and some of that other stuff. Like though that would have been cool, because when I sat down to play this game, I was 100% in that to sit there and finish that game. If they would have done, I know a lot of people complain about the Ironwood thing. Like, I get that. I didn't really care for playing as the boy, because most of those sections were like Ironwood, and they were pretty uninteresting. It had interesting characters with Atreus, but the way it played out was just, it wasn't worth the time and effort. They could have summed those up in 10-minute cutscenes. They could have just made some cutscenes of Atreus going there and then doing like a cutscene and then going off and finding they could have done those as cutscenes if they weren't going to put in the work to really drag out those supporting characters around Atreus in those parts. And that's what frustrated me the most. It just felt so, it felt so smashed together. It felt so smashed together. And I expected more out of that. But I mean, I guess what can you expect for $70 now? Like, what can you expect? It gets to the point where, like, what really can we expect going forward for video games, man? Because I play some games that, you know, that they're like, let Gotham Knights, man. That game took me about 20 hours to get through as well. I didn't have any expectations. I didn't really have those God of War expectations because, first of all, it was a new IP and I'd never played it before, so I didn't really have any expectations for it. God of War 2018, that was a dang good game. I feel like that one deserved the score it got and the hype it got and the praise it got because it was genuinely pretty good. Like, we'd never seen that before. Like, it turned out great. Like, it really did. Like, I've always had a problem with the combat, though. Like, I've always had a problem with the combat through both games. I just don't care about it. I wish it was a little bit different. I wish that we still had aerial combat like the old Kratos. Like, I wish that those things were there, but I guess if you're trying to make a more realistic, grounded type story, I guess it works, but that's just not the Kratos that everybody knows and expected to see. So, but the first one was good. The second one should have been a bigger bang. Horizon Forbidden West was another one that I had pretty high expectations for. And for the most part, that game did better than God of War Ragnarok. But the biggest thing with that one was the story was just kind of like, yeah. But it did better at portraying it and like showing you what it is and explaining what the story and stuff was. And then we got a DLC that's coming out for it as well. So that's pretty cool. We'll get more content for that game, which is pretty good. I'm definitely excited about that. God of War though, man, God of War was such a big disappointment. Such a big disappointment. Sorry guys, all this talking is making me a little bit like, but my game of the year, after everything I've played, I've still got, you know, Crisis Core that I need to play. Finishing up playing some of these other games right now, but I think it's safe to say that 100% Elden Ring has hit that spot for me. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 hit the nail on the head. That game was incredible. Definitely one of my favorite Call of Duties of all time. We got other games, you know, like Grounded, The Last of Us Remake Part 1. Incredible. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend playing that game. It definitely, the way it, man, it's just, I like the way that the visuals can make that story so much more impactful because it did. And it made that even better. It made an already a masterpiece much better. And it hit so much harder playing it this time than I was like, whoa, man, this is incredible. Naughty Dog is by far the top freaking developer for PlayStation right now. Insomniac's pretty dang good. I like what they do, but I think Naughty Dog, man, they're really good at what they do. I hope they can get back into because I've always liked that, you know, like kind of fun attitude about Naughty Dog, you know, like with Nathan Drake and, you know, all of that. And I want them to kind of stay like that. I kind of want them to move away from the Last of Us games and get back to you know, to Nathan Drake and stuff. Really start to make those and lean into that a little more. Because I don't know where the Last of Us goes from here. I was so happy to get to play through the first one again and, you know, have it you know, meet or exceed the Last of Us 2 visuals and performance and stuff. So that was great. I do thank Naughty Dog for that. It really does suck that they charged you $70 for that. That really does suck, but it looks like it's coming to PC for $59.99. So I might pick it up again, but I don't know, man. It was pretty sufficient on my PlayStation 5 running on a 1440p monitor. Some other good mentions, we got 1440p support for the PlayStation 5 this year. We got VRR support as well. Both of those were definitely welcome additions to the PlayStation 5 platform. Xbox, while they haven't really shown us any of their new games, you know, I mean, they showed us some at the you know, at E3 or whatever it was supposed to be. They showed us some stuff. They mapped out the next 12 months. I'm pretty excited. I've always been excited for what Xbox is showing us and what they've got and what they want to put out. That there's no question to that. We already know. So I mean, them like not being at the Game Awards with more content, it did suck. It kind of stings a little bit because if you think about it, man, and I've said this a few times now over the last couple of days, PlayStation clearly wants to sell you a PlayStation 5. Nintendo clearly wants you to buy a Nintendo Switch. Xbox, it's like they want you to buy a Samsung TV or they want you to sign up for Game Pass. And that's all fine and dandy, but I'm telling you, Microsoft, if you ever listen to this or watch this, your fans want to be hyped too. Like they do. They want to see what you've got. They want to see a little bit of progress. They want to see things, man. They want to feel like Sony fans feel right now. If Sony fans feel good. Sony fans feel happy. Sony fans feel like, oh yeah, we're getting everything. And Xbox fans right now, man, it's almost kind of depressing, man. It's almost kind of depressing sometimes when we have to defend, or when I hear, you know, some people hear people in the community defend it and other stuff like that. It is a little bit depressing because it's like, gosh dang, man, just show us something, man. Show the fans something, Microsoft. I get it. You know, you might have a plan for January, something like that. I don't necessarily think it's a big deal. As long as you show them something within the next month or so, I think they'll be all right. I think they'll be all right. They'll get over it, whatever. Video gamers are fickle. We're always fickle. We always got something to complain about. We always got something to overhype. We've always got some way to put ourselves in the middle of everything and make everything about us because we're video gamers and everything should be about us. But it, I don't know. I don't know, man. I had a good time this year, man. 2022 coming to a close. I've played some amazing games and I played some whoppers, man. I played some stuff that I'm like, oh gosh, man. Oh gosh. You know, there's games that I've bought that I haven't even made videos on. Because I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I was just like, no, man, I'm not making a video on this. Nobody's gonna watch this one. So, and maybe I should have because, you know, I invested the money in those. So I'm mad. I should have. But all right, man, that's basically it. My year 2022 has been filled with a lot of games, a lot of excitement, a lot of happiness. So I hope that everybody else is feeling kind of the way I do. And if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.